Hi, this is Dave, and welcome to the weekly market video recap, closing out the week for Friday, December the 28th, 2012. I'm recording this video on Saturday, the 29th of December, and this will be, our last video until the new year. So, some interesting things shaping up into the new year. As you can see, last week what we thought would happen was we would, once we broke above some of these trend lines in here. I was actually looking for a retest of these highs. I was looking to play the air in between, 13,300 and, these highs around 13,500, 13,600 in the Dow futures. By the way, we are looking at the Dow futures on the daily chart. Probably should have started off with that. So, I guess what the other thing that we were talking about was that this 12,960 level in and around here, 12,960 was our line in the sand between long and short. So that's kind of what I was looking at. So everything was actually looking quite bullish until I guess the fiscal cliff talks started falling apart, and we started getting some of this action to the low side. So I was actually expecting more of a rally than a sell-off. So that was a bit of an unexpected event, and it happens. Anything can happen in the markets. This is why we use stops, and this is why we we look at where things make sense and where things don't make sense. So at this point in time, I'm looking for potential support at well, first of all, let's just jump backwards. We have long-term support between 12,709. These actually should be green. 12,709 and 12,800. These are some key support levels, and we sold off right into those levels. So if we look at knowing that, going back, we know that those levels have been on our charts for a long time. And then if we look at, the recent high to the recent low, you get a 50% retracement and a 61.8% retracement right in and around those levels. So the 50% comes in at 12,840. The 61.8 comes in at 12,727. So even though, this level at 12,960 is the line in the sand between long and short, I don't, we've already had to move down into this level, and this is a potential support zone. This is a potential support zone between 12,700 and 12,800. So we're right into this potential support zone. So what I'm going to be looking at is to see if we're going to kind of hold this zone and push back off to the high side and maybe come back into, some of these moving averages or into, that trend line, or if we're just going to fail this zone altogether. If we fail 12,700 decisively, then that's going to be really cautionary for the bulls. So that would open up the door for a retest all the way back down to 12,300, 12,400. So that's really where we are. We're really right in the middle of this this move here, and I don't like the long side at this point in time, but I don't like the short side at this point in time either. Really just in this support zone looking to see if we're going to hold or not. Okay, so the key levels, that, in my opinion, 12,700 to 12,800 in the Dow futures. So if we look at some of the indications, we're still net bullish, on my trending indicator, but we're losing momentum. The stochastics sold off from this this overbought situation, and now they're approaching oversold, both the fast and the slow stochastic. So when you see the fast stochastic buried below 20, this is an extremely oversold situation, and the expectation is at least a little bounce out of there, or maybe the forming of a push down and then a bounce, like kind of one of these W patterns, sort of like you see here, where you at least get a little bit of a bounce. So at this point in time, like if you look here, you at least got a bounce. If you look back here, you at least got a bounce. at least got a bounce. So I'm not, and you can see this pattern here. So I'm not really that interested in the short side either. Where I would be probably interested in the short side is if we did one of these, you know, where we come all the way back up and then we crash back down through that level, you know. But at this point in time, I'm looking for potential support in here and a potential, you know, a potential bounce. Does that mean I would get long? No, it doesn't. Okay, so that being said, you know, the MACD has rolled to the low side. The volume, holiday volume, was really low. So at this point in time, there's not really nothing to do except to see if we're going to find support there and potentially push off. So let's take a look at the S&P. The S&P has kind of done, you know, basically the same thing. And let's see where this retracement comes in. We've got a fib retracement from the high to the low. Yep, so you're just above that 61.8% retracement as well. That's really, you know, from a fib perspective, the line in the sand between long and short from a fib perspective. Let's take a look at the NASDAQ. That's basically telling the same story at NQ. Delete this. And let's take a look at, now the NASDAQ looks a little weaker than the other stock indices from a chart perspective, but you're basically in the same situation from a fib perspective there. So you've got some potential support coming in, and the indicators look fairly the same, although the MACD looks a little bit weaker on the NASDAQ. So let's jump right into the transports. Transports pulled all the way back down really into support. So we were talking about this level up here of potential resistance and needing to get above that in order to get anything going in the transports in the video the other week. And then basically what we had happen was it pulled all the way back down to, you know, this horizontal support line and this 21 exponential moving average support, rising support, okay, dynamic support level. So that's essentially the transports are right at support. That kind of, you know, fits the story for you know, the potential support zone or area coming in the stock index futures. So that being said, that's kind of where we're at there. And you can see this sort of W pattern forming. This is, you know, a Gartley type of pattern. And this is a pattern, you know, that Rob Hoffman talks about a lot. You know, that I've learned this pattern from. He talks a lot about it over the years. But it's also essentially like a Gartley type of pattern where, you know, you get this kind of, this is a kind of a buy pattern. This is kind of an M is kind of a sell pattern. So won't get into specifics with that. It's just, you know, you can see these, you know, these kind of things happen here. You had a W pattern and we went higher. You know, here we had W patterns, we went higher. So here you've got a, you know, a W pattern forming. You're just missing the right side of it and, you know, right into a support level. So we could get a potential bounce, you know, Monday, Tuesday off of that level. Doesn't mean that it's going to continue to go higher, but I'm looking, you know, at least for a potential bounce out of those support areas. So I hope that makes sense. And then let's take a look at some key, let's take a look at some key currencies. Let's take a look at the dollar index first. Okay, so we were talking about the dollar index here being at this support level as well. You know, this $79 support level. Or 79 in the index, you know, because this is really the dollar index. So so this 79 support level seems to have held in the short term, and then we just bounced, you know, right into dynamic resistance at the 21 EMA. So, you know, this wedge pattern is still sort of in force. It just kind of widened out here, and you know, it'd be interesting to see if the dollar index is really going to hold support here and then push higher, or if it's going to fail this major support level. So we're really just in really this sideways support zone, or this wider kind of wedge pattern. So, you know, we really need to get below 79 decisively to get something going on the downside for the dollar index. We really need to get above 80 to get something going to the high side for the dollar index. So, you know, those are, in my opinion, the key levels for the dollar index. And then let's take a look at the euro. Let's see, EC, the euro futures. Interesting. So the euro futures, that's, you know what, this is a little bit strange actually. So let's go back to the dollar index and just compare these two. So the dollar index found support there. It's back into resistance, and the euro, broke above resistance and is right back down into support. So I guess the key level in the euro right now is, $1.3189, $1.32. It's kind of holding. It's kind of holding this this previous resistance once broken becomes support. So it's just above this now, this support line of about $1.3189, $1.32. So this still looks more bullish than bearish in the euro. You can see a structure of higher highs and higher lows in place. You've got rising trendline support, rising 21 exponential moving average support, horizontal support here. So that that's it's really been sideways for the last little while, but it is holding that level. So anything actionable to do there? I don't really see it. Just kind of noting those key levels. So that's all I have this week for the stock index futures. I've been talking about the Active Traders Conference that's coming up. On February the 2nd, 2012. Be sending out another announcement for that. Would appreciate if, all that are attending, if you can make it, please sign up as soon as possible. There will be some promotions and some benefits in signing up early, and we will be disclosing those in the next, over the next week or so. So stay tuned for that, and stay tuned also January the 9th, CSTA Oakville meeting with Ziad Jassani on active trading. That's going to be a really, really good meeting. Take a look at the meetup group for those announcements. And if if you don't have those announcements anymore, just go to the discussion forum. And in the discussion forum, you can see a history of all the emails that were sent out, and you can find that information in there. Although I'm sure I'll be including it in this week's send out as well. So hope that helps. I hope you've all had a fantastic Christmas holiday. Happy New Year, and may 2013 be the most prosperous year yet. Thanks, and have a great rest of holiday.